You are watching Talking Hardcore with George and Scott.
All right, we have a new intro.
This is Talking Hardcore, the podcast for people who love hardcore history.
We can skip the boring to the interesting stuff.
Worst person in the world in history, Genghis Khan.
Well, I said, to paraphrase, people will look at this, even if the empire goes on another 1,000 years, to look at this time and this place and say, this was their finest hour.
Yeah, sorry.
And you know what? He was frickin' right.
Yeah,
He was frickin' right, man.
yeah. Since then, I don't think.
The Nazis needed to lose.
Yeah.
And without Churchill, they might not have. Without a lot of different things, they might not have, but definitely without Churchill. You could also argue that maybe without Stalin.
The Russians would have lost for sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they would
there's
have
at least a good argument there. But without Churchill, they might have already conquered Britain before they invaded Russia.
lost. Yeah. Well, if
The Britain might have settled.
if
They might have surrendered.
if the Germans had landed on British soil,
But without Churchill, they might not have had to.
that's true.
There was a lot of talk about coming to terms with the Germans.
Capitulating. Yep.
So we wanted to do this episode because Hardcore History, episode 11, is called Thoughts on Churchill. And Dan recorded that in 2007.
Yep.
Since then, there's been a large amount of attacks on Winston Churchill. I don't
Yep.
know if you're aware of that, Scott.
Yeah, that he was a racist. And
They caused the famine of Bengal and a
Yeah.
lot of things that are pretty easily refuted by actual historians.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to debate here the arguments of whether or not those things are accurate because I believe that most historians agree that they aren't. And frankly, what Winston Churchill did was so amazing that we should actually at least acknowledge how great it was.
I can't argue the fact. I mean, I don't think there's any argument. It's
The British
interesting.
people were so close to surrendering.
Oh yeah,
Or not surrendering, to capitulating.
but what's interesting is you had 5 of the all-time strongest leaders, probably in history, all at once fighting in the same war.
It's hard to know if they were all time, right?
Well,
Because
you had
I think
Hitler,
you tend to
you had
get
Hitler, Stalin,
right.
Churchill, FDR, and you can say the Emperor of Japan, but you can really go with like
I wouldn't really go
the
that far.
generals that he had. Okay.
But you could also go with the Italy guy,
Oh, Mussolini.
Mussolini.
Yeah. I mean, but
But you're saying strongest, but I don't know if it's strongest. You're saying
strongest leaders. Well, Mussolini was a great leader. He just, okay. I didn't mean it that way. I didn't.
I love it.
Listen,
We're back.
he was.
We're back to Scott sticking his foot in his mouth. I
No,
love it.
he was a great leader because he took control of his country.
That's not a great leader.
Okay, but I'm just.
A great leader leads his country.
Yeah, but he led his country
To disaster.
just because it wasn't a good spot.
To
mean he
disaster.
was a
That
good
doesn't
leader.
mean he's great.
Hit-
Don't say it.
Don't. But you just
say it.
You just complimented Stalin.
I said, for sure. Without Stalin, the Russians might have collapsed and Germany might have won. Stalin was a terrible person.
Now,
But what he did may have saved Russia.
and you're going to tell me
But you can't say the same
that
about Mussolini.
that the industrialization of Nazi Germany could have been done by somebody else
Germany was
with
already
those
pretty
rousing-
heavily industrialized.
with those rousing
Germany was a
speeches,
highly educated society.
with the mustache and the screaming and red face.
Listen, do not.
I am
do
not.
not.
I am not idolizing Adolf Hitler.
No,
I'm
I know
just
you're
saying
I know.
that he motivated his entire country.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that was for a good cause.
It doesn't matter. You can still be great and be bad at the same time.
Right, because you're going old school definition of the word great.
Okay.
Modern
hold on,
times,
hold on.
great, we use great in the terms of great
Was Alexander the
good.
Great actually great, or was he a mass murderer?
Right. And so when we talk about Alexander the Great in modern terms, we don't actually think of him as a great person. When you say somebody's a great person, if you're talking about somebody you know, what are you saying?
Well-
You're saying that they're important? No, you're saying that they're a really good person.
Okay, so
Because
Genghis
colloquially,
Khan wasn't a great leader?
that's a different thing.
No, they're all great leaders. It doesn't matter if it's for good or bad.
No, because Hitler was a shitty leader.
I'm
If he was a better leader, they would have won World War II.
If he was a better
If
leader,
Stalin was a better leader, they would have never fought World War II because he would have never made a treaty with Germany. He wouldn't have killed all his good generals or put them in the gulags. He wouldn't have starved the
tortured 'em.
Ukrainians, so they would have had way more dudes. So if Stalin was a great leader, Germany would have never been in position to invade.
I'm not saying I'm just.
So
Well-
you're saying great, and I'm just saying they were the leaders that were there at the time.
But he pulled his country through
Yes, by being as ruthless as the
and
Germans.
brutal as possible. Yes, you're right.
And that's what I'm saying. It required that. So thank you for Stalin for doing that. But that's the one good thing, or the one, it's not even good. The one thing that needed to be done that he did.
Yep, fair
It's
enough.
not good.
But you'd still put him on. If you wanted to put down a list of the greatest.
Would you put FDR as a great leader?
No. Well,
I
you
don't
know
know.
what? I can kind of say yes and
Maybe.
no. How about yes and no?
Maybe.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because he put socialist policies in order to stop the American people from eating themselves.
Or, yeah, what might have happened is, so those policies didn't pull us out of the Depression, but maybe what they did is they kept us from falling into anarchy.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make me like them anymore.
Well, I don't have a problem with them, and I'm going to tell you why.
You do.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. Social Security. It's not not a social program. Do you know what it is?
Far down the list.
Hold on. Do you know what that is? That's an annuity you pay the government over your working life that is an agreement, basically, that they will keep paying you.
Well, that would be true if it was optional.
I know, but it's not optional. You're
But
right.
that's what
You're right.
makes it a socialist program.
Sure. It's not optional. But how much you
This
get
is what
back?
happens when you marry a Russian.
No. Anyway.
All I'm saying is he seems a little redder than you.
No, wait a
used to
minute.
be.
She talks bad about. She tells terrible things about Soviet Russia. So, and I'll
Sure,
be
but
happy
she
to
loves
tell
Putin.
anybody when we interview my mother-in-law. We're going to talk about the
I
interesting
can't wait.
things.
That's what I want to talk to her about. That's fascinating stuff.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For all of you guys, that's we're going to do that episode soon. Look into Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the Soviet government was great at keeping everybody at the base level.
Mhm.
So always wondering where your next pound of
But
sugar is going to come
we're
from.
here to talk about Winston Churchill.
Yeah, I know.
And we have already been so far off topic.
Yeah.
I'm going to name this podcast In Defense of Winston Churchill.
In defense of Winston
In
Churchill?
defense of Winston Churchill.
He's
Because,
completely defensible, so what's the point?
well, that's the point, but they're still attacking him. You know,
Who's they?
the woke,
Uh,
the people who tear down statues, the people who don't believe in truth.
yeah,
They believe in postmodernism.
sure.
They believe in their truth or my truth, but not the truth.
Fair enough.
Douglas Murray did a video on YouTube last year in his series for Nebula Media, and it was called Uncanceled History. And he had an author on to discuss. I'll put a link in the description to discuss Winston Churchill. He wrote a book about it. Now, this guy is clearly a Churchill fanboy, so I'm sure there's a little bit of more to it than what he says. But the real facts are Winston Churchill was a 1 in a million type person.
Yep.
And every once in a while, one of those people come along and are in power at the time where they need to be.
Yep. When they're needed most.
When they're needed most. Now, it doesn't always happen that way. Without Winston Churchill, maybe England comes up to a treaty with Britain. With Germany.
That's the point I was trying to make, though.
Right.
Is you had several leaders that were all 1 in a million running.
I don't think Stalin was 1 in a million. I think
he
tyrants are easier.
I'm pretty sure he killed 1 million to get where he was.
Right, but I don't think they would have you would have had to get through another 1 million people to get to another one of him. That's what I mean by 1 in a million. Hitler, maybe, yeah, but Definitely not FDR. Right? I don't think he's 1 in a million. What Churchill did was so much more impressive to me than FDR.
Yeah, well, they were in
only
different
got up to
circumstances as well.
100%.
Completely different circumstances.
Yes, and Churchill rose to the occasion, but he was ready for it because he always thought he would. He always thought he was going to have to do that, and then he did it.
You know what's interesting? And sorry to interrupt.
No, you're not interrupting.
Who is the French leader?
Yeah, I don't remember
Why?
because they lost.
That's my point.
Right.
It's weird how you don't remember who the leader of France was during.
I remember lots of leaders who lost other battles, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know,
remember
but
the leader of France
nobody talks about the leader of
because
France
they
or
didn't have a
Poland
Churchill.
or Poland.
They didn't have a Churchill.
I got you. I'm just saying. Nobody
never
talks
give
about
up.
them.
We'll never surrender.
Nobody talks about it. I just think it's interesting that you have,
Mhm.
you could go back to World War I and we know generals, Pétain and we know a ton of generals.
I know generals from the Second World War too.
Yeah, but you don't hear about the French leadership other
Because they
than
lost
they-
immediately.
I know, but other than they
Yeah.
went to Bordeaux. I mean, what I mean?
Right.
So
I just think you're right.
anyway, back
And your
to
point is that Churchill's such an outsized character, and that's because what he did and who he was, his personality, everything about him was so fascinating, but so perfectly timed. His character was perfect for what they needed then.
you know what FDR reminds. I'm sorry, Winston Churchill reminds me of Teddy Roosevelt to a certain degree.
I thought you were going to say me.
No, to a certain degree.
I thought he was going to say you, George.
No, George.
And then we were going to hug, and it was going to be an awesome moment.
You didn't go to South Africa. You didn't fight in any wars. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't know that Churchill went to South Africa.
He did.
I don't know that he did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Didn't he fight in the Zulu Wars too?
I know he fought in a bunch of wars. I don't know if it was in South Africa.
It was in South Africa.
Okay, I believe you
because
then.
he was captured and he escaped.
But Teddy Roosevelt didn't fight in South Africa. He went there.
No, yeah, I know, not Teddy Roosevelt, but I'm just saying.
Right. Teddy is a different guy. I read a book about Teddy. He's fascinating in a completely different way than Churchill.
I think he was an adrenaline junkie, just like Dan says.
There's
But anyway,
to
back
that.
to Churchill.
But
yeah.
Real quick, Teddy Roosevelt, the lasting legacy of what Teddy Roosevelt did was the national parks.
Yeah.
That was all. I mean, he started that.
Yeah.
Against Congress's wishes, he just starts writing, giving huge parts of land to the people.
Yeah.
That's what those are. National parks are your land. You can go there.
Yeah.
It's yours. It's all of ours. That's Teddy Roosevelt.
Can I go live there?
I mean, you can go camp there and stay there as long as you want, as long as you follow the rules.
Can I kill moose for food?
Only if you have a tag.
The DNR screwing everything up again.
Anyway, that's why there are moose still.
Yeah. Well, but if I want to live in Yellowstone, I should be able to murk a moose.
You can't shoot anything in Yellowstone.
That's crap. I thought that's my land.
It's because it's not. That's not the same. So there's different designations. We'll do that another history podcast. I would love to get into Teddy. He was a fascinating character. Winston Churchill is like Teddy Roosevelt, except way, way, way more badass.
And British.
Dude, it's not even close. Like, we have Teddy Roosevelt on Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
But realistically, we should probably have Winston Churchill.
No, we shouldn't.
We probably should.
He's not American.
He was half American.
It doesn't matter. Half American's not American.
Half American and fought, kept
didn't grow up
the
here.
world from falling to the Nazis.
He didn't grow up here.
Dude, I don't know.
Sorry, bud.
Winston Churchill should be in way more stuff here.
Until you start, shooting from the hip and
he's half American.
Asking
we need to flip this whole script. We need to start claiming Winston Churchill.
Why?
Because he was half American and he did this amazing shit.
Yeah, but he was.
We get half the credit for everything he did, and we're just giving Britain all the credit because he had an accent. That's BS. Taking it back. That's the real name of this podcast. Taking back Winston Churchill. He's just as much American as he was British. He's half ours. Screw you, England. We're taking half the credit for everything Winston Churchill did.
His mother raised him, and she was American.
Yeah, his dad hated him. The British guy that was raising him hated him. His American mother basically made him into what he was. So you're welcome, world, from America. You're welcome.
Housewives of America. She was an American housewife.
I don't think housewife is the right word. She was like a duchess.
I think whatever. Same thing.
Duchess.
She was still a housewife. What am I not allowed to say housewife?
You can say housewife. I don't care.
Is that
The
offensive?
way you said it is what sounded funny.
I just thought it was good.
That's good.
You're
I like
hey,
it.
I'm
I like it.
commending them. for
Listen,
the job they do.
misogynist is great because it can get us canceled, and
No.
it'll really get our viewers
No,
up.
you made a
Like,
great
listen,
man.
if one of you
Good
is
job,
watching this and
housewives.
you think we should get canceled, please try to cancel us because we think that'll really help our subscribers.
Do not try to cancel us.
Try to cancel Scott specifically.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Hey, did you get that hat you ordered yet?
No.
Did you order it?
No. I guess I'll be doing the podcast in a
No. We at least need to get it for like the thumbnails.
How am I
Scott
gonna
found
wear
this dope sombrero.
How am I going to wear the
So we'd use
headphones
it
then?
for the thumbnails. You don't have to
No.
wear it the whole
No, I'd
episode.
wear it the whole time. If
Well,
I'm
then-
going to wear it, I'm going to rock it. I'm just going to wear it everywhere.
I'll get you little earbuds then.
I'll go down to I'll quote Jobs and I'll have my hat on.
You should lean into it.
I'll probably
All right. If you're listening to this and you think Scott should stop effing with his mic, one,
I didn't
and if
hit
you
my
think
mic
Scott
with my glass.
should become a hat guy, please comment yes. And if you think he shouldn't, please also comment yes because you think it'll be funny if he becomes a hat guy. Now, what I told him is some guys wear hats and some hats wear guys. This hat that he wants to get, or that I want him to get, would wear him.
It's a Mexican hat.
Awesome hat.
you wanna
Show him the
see it?
picture.
No, I'm
Show
not
him the
showing.
picture. Just show him the picture.
No, I'm not showing him.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
Show him the. This,
All right, here we
this
go.
hat's awesome.
There you go. There's my new hat.
Okay, so if you think Scott should wear that hat every day, all day, comment yes. If you think it'll be funny if he wears it and he'll look dumb, also comment yes.
No.
If you don't want him to wear it, comment yes.
Then no matter what, I'll be wearing it. All right.
Well, that's what I was going for. I think
Do you want me to put on a bolo
awesome.
too? I'll put
You
on a
can't pull
bolo.
off a bolo.
Bullshit, I can't.
You can't pull off.
Oh no, I can pull off a bolo.
No, you can't.
You want me to prove it?
Yes. Not right this second.
Hold on.
Why, you have one?
No, at home. But
No, you definitely can't pull off a bolo.
it's not.
And I don't know how this ties into Winston Churchill.
Wait a minute. There's my grandfather.
Yeah, he
See?
is infinitely cooler than you.
He's 100% wearing a bolo.
He's cooler than you.
No.
How did you not know he was Mexican?
Here, everybody.
He looks
for the
super
record,
Mexican. This is the guy Scott thought was Spanish because he said, I'm Spanish.
He said he was Spanish.
He looks super Mexican in the best way possible.
He looks really Mexican in that one. These are old family pictures, by the way.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Winston Churchill, half American. We're taking it back. Screw you, England. You only get half of his accomplishments. The rest of them go to us in America. And on behalf of all Americans, I accept those accomplishments. Anything else you want to say about Churchill?
Yeah. Yeah. So he fought in the Zulu Wars.
Okay.
He was captured and escaped and found the only British
Mhm.
friendly house.
Yep.
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Okay. The only British friendly house.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote letters to his mother telling her not to worry because he has this, this great plan for his
No,
life.
he said he's too important to die.
Yeah. So he knew he had better things coming his
Right,
way.
but how many people thought that and still died?
I guess it wouldn't have mattered because he'd have been dead.
But the point is, we have no idea if he was just like these great leaders who think that, if there really are just right, or if there's a ton of people who think that, but none of them are actually right.
Well, he was right. So it doesn't matter. He was right.
I agree.
A very interesting person. What was
Fascinating.
his famous phrase? What?
No, I have a couple quotes from
never-
Churchill that.
Never sit when you Never stand when you can sit.
Mm-hmm.
Never sit when you can lie down.
Yes.
Um,
But the best one is he's at dinner with this other couple, and the wife says, Winston, if I was your husband, I would poison you. And he says, if I was your I'm sorry. She says, Winston, if you were my husband, I would poison you. And he says, if I was your husband, I would drink it.
Baller.
Awesome.
Boom. Legend. Mic
Awesome.
drop.
Yeah.
Done.
Some of the best quotes.
He was good with the quips. He was quippy. He liked the quips.
Best quotes, best speeches, saved America, unabashed Nazi hater and communism hater, which I think history has proved that if you're going to hate two things, Nazis and communists
Probably the
are
best.
probably like the best two things you could hate.
Yeah.
Like throw pedophiles in there, and I'm sure he hated them. So we're going to go ahead and say he hated the three best things to hate.
Yep.
Nazis, pedophiles, and communists. Good job, Winston Churchill.
That works.
Here's the one. Let's drink to Winston.
To
Here's
Winston.
Winston Churchill. Half American, part British.
I like that little addendum you threw in there. Half American, part British.
Thanks for watching.
Have a good one.